Welcome back, my friends, and welcome to another episode of The Good, the Bad, and the Bible. My name is Rogan, and you are watching The Mysterious Stoner in Ebola. How has your week been, my friends? I hope it has been well. Mine has. The weekend was excellent, but I had quite the Monday. And just to forewarn you of the coming next video, I'm not sure if I will be able to get it out in time or not. You see, I have had some automobile issues as of late, and I have quite the expensive repair job that needs to be done on it, and I don't have it finished being paid off yet, so I don't really want to scrap my vehicle, and it's otherwise been a really good vehicle otherwise. So I have some available overtime that I may be working. It's a crazy schedule because this voluntary overtime at work, they're only, if you take it on, you have to sign up for 4 hours in addition to your regular 8 hours. And not just for one day, but you have to sign up for an entire week at a time. I don't know why. It is. I'm sure they have their reasons. They're trying to guarantee that product gets out. So I sort of understand, but it's not really fair because I want that overtime and I could make time for it and continue to do my channel and things, but 4 hours every day in addition to 8, that's 12 hours every day, 5 days, as well as Saturday if we need to work that day as well. Very big check, yes, but very little time at home. So I am actually going to try and do next week's video this weekend as well, in addition to having this one done and posted. It's going to be a little bit crazy. My video may be delayed a bit, or I don't know. I'm going to do as much as I can over the weekend to get it prepared, but as well as rest up and prepare because I really need the extra money for my vehicle, so I will be working my ass off this next week. And it will be the first time working so many hours. At least I think it will be. But so that is that. Next week's video might be a little late. Enough of that. On to today's Bible lesson. Perhaps not the lesson the Bible would expect us to get out of it. We finally come to some action. Some things start happening. But we're not going to get to that quite yet. There's one more thing regarding the sacrifices. I know, boring topic. And I read through a bunch more boring material before getting to some occurrences. And stick around for those occurrences because people die. But I discovered a punishment that I really discovered it. I had forgotten about this punishment and I didn't know exactly what it meant. But it gets repeated a lot throughout the Old Testament, specifically in the areas where it's giving out rules. And this is a very popular punishment. I don't know how many times it's said. I'm not going to count them all this time. because it's in other books and other places throughout the Bible. But the term here, it's in certain places, well, it's for all kinds of different things. But here it's in reference to eating the sacrifice being offered to God. Either they're not supposed to do it at all, or they do it at the wrong time, or something of that nature. But there are other more, well, non-sacrificial related rules where the same punishment is given as eating from a sacrifice to God. And that is this little phrase, cut off from his people. If this person, if a person does this, they are to be cut off from his people. And it says it over and over and over again. And I decided, you know what, I need to look up and see what people say this actually means, because I don't have a fucking clue. And as it turned out, it actually means multiple things, depending on the context. There are, and it's not really a guarantee. Well, like it's possible that they all mean the same, but with the way the Hebrew language is, you could have one word in English have like 5 different meanings in Hebrew, or Aramaic, or whatever the original Dead Sea Scrolls, or whatever the original texts were written in. Languages are crazy. So I discovered there are actually 4 meanings that this could have, and none of them really sounded very fair. Because, I mean, eating from a sacrifice, I mean, come on. At the worst, maybe they have to offer another sacrifice to pay for that sin, for that mistakes they made, or something. There should be a way to where this isn't that serious of an issue. We should be able to take care of it, right? No. No. This punishment, cut off from his people. These 4 different meanings. The first one, it could mean that they are kicked out. They are no longer a citizen of Israel. Excommunicated from everyone and everything. They are kicked out. That's one possibility, but that apparently, according to some people, that is actually the least likely of what it means. The second meaning that it could have, which is pretty strong because it's used in other, in relation to other passages, where it goes into more detail about the punishments, it could mean that it means execution. That seems a bit much. Then, okay, so they die, at least they go to heaven, right? Well, there's another meaning that is also kind of strong. That cut off from his people could mean that they are cut off from heaven. Spiritually, they are never going to heaven in the afterlife. Their souls are condemned for hell for eternity, for eating a piece of meat on a sacrifice to God that God will no longer need in the future. And the last one also has references. I'm not going to go into all the details because you can look these up if you want to. Do your own research on it. I got these from looking at a few articles and just doing a little bit of Google research, and they threw in all the verses there that you could imagine. But the last one, cut off from his people, could actually mean they are no longer able to have children. They become infertile by God. But I thought that was interesting. These 4 different kinds of punishments, all from this one phrase, cut off from his people. It's not consistent as to why they keep using this phrase. And in a lot of these places, throughout these Old Testament laws about the sacrifices and such, there is no further description about what it means to be cut off from his people. Like, it's going on and on and on about sacrifices, what to do, when to eat it, to burn which parts, stuff like that. Then it says, if someone eats of it, they shall be cut off from his people. And then it goes on to the next bit of information it wants to elaborate on. Nothing given. You can go through chapter 7, says it a number of times. Well, just go through the first 8 chapters, 8, 9, 10. It's throughout there, amongst a whole bunch of other details that are no longer relevant because God likes to make people do all kinds of stupid things and kill animals just for representations of what he'll do in the future. But eating a piece of meat, like, why would you cut someone off? Why would you kick someone out of their country? Why would you kick them out of heaven permanently? Why would you have them killed or make them infertile just for eating a piece of meat that is sacrificed? God does not eat any of the meat. He just has it burnt. Sometimes the people giving the sacrifice get some of the meat back. Sometimes, for certain sacrifices, meat is given to the priests. And then there are some sacrifices where everything is burnt. None of it is preserved. There are other religions out there where when you do a sacrifice, all you're doing is putting food on the plate and leaving it out. And you just leave it. And, I mean, you're not killing anything. You're just giving food of what you already have. And to me, honestly, that makes more logical sense in a roundabout sort of way. Because, I mean, logically speaking, at least with these religions that believe in just sacrificing food to their gods or the dead or whatever by just leaving the food out, animals and insects can come and eat from it, and it's small, but in a way it's like giving back to Mother Nature. You're not really feeding a god, but you are feeding nature and animals. There are creatures out there that are putting that sacrifice you gave to good use for themselves to survive. So in a way, it's kind of nice at least. But with these sacrifices, God takes, the God of the Bible, that is, takes so seriously that he is super particular about what you eat, what you don't eat, what you burn, what you where you pour, or what you do with the blood and everything. And if you do the wrong thing, you are banished from your entire nation, or you are killed, either executed or supposedly by God, as we will soon see, or you are made infertile. Who knows, there could be even more reasons. I only stopped at 4 because I didn't have to go very far to find them. I thought, 4, that's good enough. People want to do research, they can find more if they want to. That's more than enough for me. But let's talk about that. Well, I have to lead up to it. It's only 3 verses, so bear with me as I read them to you. Now, these verses are not going to sound connected at first. They're going to sound like 2 different stories. But there is a reason why I am tying them both together, which I will tell you about after, well, when we get to it. First, I will read them to you. Leviticus chapter 9, starting at 23, and going over into the next chapter. It says, Moses and Aaron went into the tabernacle of the congregation and came out and blessed the people. And the glory of the Lord appeared unto all the people. And there came a fire out from before the Lord and consumed upon the altar the burnt offering and the fat, which when all the people saw, they shouted and fell on their faces. So there's that little 2-verse story. Moses and Aaron finish a whole bunch of sacrifices and shit and ceremonies, and they come out and of the tabernacle, and supposedly the glory of the Lord appears to the people. No description whatsoever is given. It just happens. And then fire suddenly comes out from before the Lord, whatever that is, whatever that description is, and burns everything on the altar. Next 2 verses are the first 2 verses of chapter 10, right afterwards. And Nadab and Abihu, sons of Aaron, 2 sons, took either of them his censer and put fire therein, and put incense thereon, and offered strange fire before the Lord, which he commanded them not. And there went out fire from the Lord and devoured them, and they died before the Lord. So according to this, 2 of Erens Sons, priests, offered a certain kind of incense, some kind of strange fire before God that God had strictly commanded them not to. And fire bursts out from the Lord and kills them. There is nothing said here about, maybe it's within the lost translations or poor translations, but it doesn't really say if Nadab and Abihu actually did this on purpose. You see, I think it's quite possible that they simply mixed something by accident. And I think what may have actually happened instead of God killing them is that they were both mixing the alchemy, the incense, and one of them couldn't quite remember what the order was of what they were supposed to do, and they looked at the other and said, "Hey, Nadab, what order do we put this? It's like this, right? We put this in first and then the fire." And Abihu was like, yes, I think that's the right order. Yes. And so they both do it. And boom. They did something that created some kind of explosion. And because priests do things at the same time in unison, it would make sense if they both lit something at the same time. And they both exploded at the same time. And it killed them both because of how much there was, or it was too close to their faces, or whatever. They died. It's quite possible Moses upplayed this story quite a bit. It makes it sound like the fire just completely engulfed them entirely. Well, if that was from an accident, so what was the fire from the glory of God? Well, that could also have been an over explanation by Moses. I think what could have actually happened, because there is no description given about what the glory of God is. I think what may have actually happened was there was no glory of God whatsoever. Moses, in fact, I think, knew because there's multiple, a alchemical mix of things to create some sort of explosive. And I know that history says that it was the Chinese who, the Chinese who invented fireworks and gunpowder and all that. Which, I mean, I'm not saying they didn't, but people have discovered over time that batteries have existed long before our modern type of batteries were invented. Like way back, like Egyptian era. They've discovered things that look like some kind of giant clock, like a machine, significantly before its time. So, I believe it's quite possible that other people discovered how to create gunpowder or other explosive elements together, like some sort of premature C4 dynamite, something of that nature. And Moses knew how to make this mixture. And I think what happened was he had this mixture prepared. Perhaps he had like a stream of it going out that he lit somewhere at some point, and he did his ceremony and he called upon God, and he timed it just right to where once the trailing smoke, maybe it was underground and ran to the altar. I don't know what it could have been. This is a long time ago. People did things a lot differently. People had different, they were limited with technology, but they had some. And the people who were the best of the scammers, the best of the tricksters and magicians had shit that we don't have today. Not saying it's better, but some of them would have been privy to some secrets, some information. And I think Moses had something to where when he timed it just right and he called upon God to burn the offering or whatever, that the smoke got to the pile of gunpowder or whatever. I'm just calling it gunpowder because it's what's coming to mind right now. And it goes off and it just explodes under the altar, and the fire just leaps up and just burns the whole sacrifice. And because no one saw them put fire on the altar, it just seemed to magically appear out of nowhere, just like poof, ah! Everyone's just like, ah, it's God! Everyone fall down and worship before he burns us. And then Nadab and the Bayou, they get a hold of the mixture. They're not quite sure what they're doing. They don't ask Moses about the right mixture, and they both die. Why do they both die? Because they got the mixture right? That Moses knew? Oh no, Moses couldn't say that. They offered strange fires that God told them not to do. It was totally not an alchemical accident. Totally supernatural. I call bullshit. Of course, I could go with the possibility that aliens showed up in the cloud or whatever, but that doesn't say anything about the cloud showing up, so I don't know how else Moses would have made the sacrifice just catch on fire. And I don't know how else Nadab and the Bayou would have magically been consumed with fire. I don't have any other explanations, and nothing else really makes sense. They offered strange fire before God, and God's just like, ugh, I don't like that. Die, both of you. If this God were real, he's a fucking asshole for doing this. It's like, what if that was an accident? Like, it really genuinely could have been an accident. Even if the original language says otherwise, that they purposely did this, why would they do that? They have seen miracles of God. They've seen, supposedly, the Red Sea splitting open. They've seen all the plagues in Egypt. They've seen the pillar of fire and of smoke. And they just supposedly saw God light an entire sacrifice on fire and consume it. Why would they purposely go out of their way to be like, let's mix this stuff and desecrate God while he's here? What is it? Let's offer strange fire to the guy who just magically destroyed this sacrifice with fire. What? Are you fucking serious? They would do that on purpose? No. I admit I have my stupid moments, but I'm not that fucking dumb. Like, this is literally the equivalent of pissing off the president right after you watched him give command to a bunch of troops to fire anti-aircraft missiles and saw a massive display of destruction. You see that, and then you turn around and you decide to pull down your pants and moon the president. That's what this is the equivalent of. Of course you'd fucking die if you did it on purpose. But why would you do it on purpose? Are you fucking insane? And why would God allow these two guys to do this if he knew they were going to blaspheme him just so he could kill them and show off to everyone else? You're really running down a rabbit hole just to try and explain the fact that this is probably and extremely likely, and what I believe is an alchemical accident that is explained away by Moses saying they offered strange fire. Bullshit. I'm not buying it. Never again. And that is where I'm going to leave you today. I hope you found this video interesting, educational, entertaining perhaps. Subscribe, like, share, and I will let you know on the other side of the next video how this week goes. Staying over 4 hours every day. 12-hour days for 5 days in a row. Possibly Saturday as well. Yikes! Not looking forward to it. And I hate that I need money, but that is life. Gotta do what we have to do to survive. Stay safe, my friends, and until next time, farewell.